Imagine possessing a power so discreet, so quiet, that it dismantles your enemies without ever raising your voice or making a direct move. This is the essence of Machiavellian mastery, a timeless form of dominance built on observation, silence, manipulation, and influence. Rather than relying on brute force or confrontation, Machiavellian strategy teaches the art of silent control, to influence, defeat, and rule without detection. 1. Observation. The silent weapon at the heart of Machiavellian power lies the ability to observe. Observation is not passive, it is a strategic act of patience, neutrality, and precision. A true master of silent power watches people carefully, noting not just what they say, but what they reveal through body language, eye movement, and unconscious habits. Understanding your enemy's behavior under stress or success uncovers their hidden fears and weaknesses. But observation extends beyond individuals. It includes watching relationships, alliances, and networks, who they trust, fear, or resent. This information becomes a blueprint for subtle manipulation. Crucially, observation must remain hidden. The less your enemy knows you're watching, the more authentic their behavior, and the more power you gain. Self-awareness is equally essential. Only by knowing your own biases can you interpret others accurately. Through observation, you prepare the ground for quiet, strategic moves. 2. Strategic silence. The weapon of restraint. Machiavelli viewed silence not as absence, but as presence. Strategic silence confounds adversaries. It creates uncertainty, making others anxious and prone to mistakes. When provoked, remaining silent denies your enemy the reaction they crave. This frustrates and destabilizes them, giving you the upper hand. Silence magnifies your presence. It cultivates an air of mystery and control. Used wisely, it forces your enemies to second-guess themselves and overextend. It also elevates your reputation, signaling maturity and composure. However, Machiavellian silence must be intentional, calculated pauses, not passive avoidance. Emotional control is vital to making silence a psychological weapon. 3. Reputation. Your silent shield. Machiavelli famously stated, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." A powerful reputation often deters enemies without any direct action. When your name alone evokes strength and decisiveness, few will dare to challenge you. To build such a reputation, act with consistency, confidence, and impact. Let your actions speak so loudly that opponents become hesitant before they even consider attacking. But mystery is also key. Keep aspects of your power and intentions ambiguous. Ambiguity leads others to imagine worst-case scenarios, weakening their resolve. Balance fear with fairness. By being dependable with allies and unrelenting with enemies, your reputation becomes self-reinforcing, spreading through your network like wildfire. 4. Allies and networks. Power by proxy. The Machiavellian strategist rarely confronts enemies directly. Instead, they use alliances to isolate and destabilize them. Power is amplified when it flows through a network. Carefully chosen allies can infiltrate your enemy's circle, influence decisions, and sow discord, all while your hands appear clean. Hidden alliances are especially powerful. When adversaries cannot pinpoint the source of resistance, paranoia sets in. Additionally, creating strategic indebtedness, offering favors to people within your enemy's sphere, binds them subtly to your cause. This erodes your adversary's support system from within. To sustain this power, maintain your network through quiet acts of loyalty, generosity, and recognition. A well-tended network becomes an invisible army working in your favor. 5. Perception. Shaping reality. In Machiavellian philosophy, perception is more influential than truth. People act on what they believe to be real. By subtly manipulating perception, through whispered doubts, indirect stories, or visual contrasts, you can elevate yourself and destroy your enemies without saying a word. You don't need to directly accuse, simply suggest. Implied criticisms and vague anecdotes let others draw their own conclusions. Provoking your enemy into emotional public reactions while you remain calm further tarnishes their image. Credibility is enhanced by consistency and subtle endorsement by respected figures. Meanwhile, quietly undermining your opponent's counternarratives ensures your version of events prevails. 6. Indifference. Emotional disarmament. Controlled indifference is one of the most disarming tactics in the Machiavellian arsenal. When you refuse to give your enemies the emotional engagement they seek, you deny them power. Indifference signals emotional strength, unnerving those who feed on conflict. This emotional detachment unsettles your adversaries. When they can't interpret your reactions, they grow insecure and reactive, often to their own detriment. But indifference must be genuine or convincingly displayed. Show warmth to allies to contrast your coldness to enemies, thereby enhancing your psychological edge. 7. Narrative control. Guiding belief. Controlling the narrative means shaping the story before your enemies do. People crave explanation. If you don't supply it, someone else will. Quietly seed ideas, frame events, and guide interpretation without overt control. Let others discover what you want them to believe. By repeating your message subtly and aligning influential voices behind your story, you create a believable truth. At the same time, undermine your adversaries' versions with quiet contradictions and distractions. Done well, this narrative dominance becomes nearly unchallengeable. 8. Withholding approval. Starving the ego. Machiavelli recognized that humans crave validation. By strategically withholding approval, especially after someone's significant effort, you quietly erode confidence. Unlike criticism, silence is ambiguous, making it more psychologically destabilizing. Use this tactic sparingly and strategically. Occasional, unpredictable recognition keeps others craving your approval, making them dependent on your judgment. Praising their rivals or allies compounds the effect, sowing doubt and internal conflict without confrontation. Conclusion. The quiet path to power. Machiavellian mastery is not about loud proclamations or overt actions. It is the art of dominance through silence, observation, reputation, and subtle manipulation. Every tactic, from withholding approval to controlling the narrative, is designed to make your enemies unravel themselves. By mastering these principles, you wield an invisible power that defeats opponents without direct conflict. As Machiavelli reminds us, the strongest message is often no message at all. True power whispers from the shadows and leaves its mark without ever lifting a finger.